Melody Shari's life has been a long, emotional journey, one filled with love, heartbreak, betrayal, and healing. But through it all, one thing has remained constant: her strength. When people talk about Melody now, they don't just see a reality TV star or a businesswoman. They see a woman who has walked through the fire and come out glowing. A woman who has learned that peace is the most powerful kind of success there is. When you look at Melody's story, you realize that she didn't just lose a marriage. She lost trust, dreams, and a part of herself that she once thought she could never get back. For years, she tried to hold it all together, to keep her family intact, to make something work that was already broken. And yet, when it all fell apart, she didn't fall apart with it. Instead, she did something most people can't. She chose peace. There's something incredibly powerful about that kind of choice. Because peace doesn't just come to you, you have to fight for it. You have to go through sleepless nights, through tears, through moments of self-doubt where you wonder if you'll ever be the same again. Melody went through all of that: the heartbreak, the public scrutiny, the judgment, and the pain. But she didn't let any of it define her. Now when you see her, you can feel that peace. It's in her smile. It's in her voice. It's in the calm energy that surrounds her. She's not reacting anymore. She's not trying to prove herself or explain her side. She's simply living. And that kind of calm, the quiet kind that doesn't need attention, is the loudest form of power there is. There was a time when Melody was constantly being tested by betrayal, by rumors, by people trying to break her spirit. And yet every time she responded the same way, with grace. She learned that silence can be the most powerful response of all, because sometimes the truth doesn't need defending. It reveals itself in time. Her life now is centered around the things that truly matter: her children, her faith, and her peace. You can almost picture her mornings: soft music playing, her kids laughing, the house filled with calm energy instead of tension. She's built a home that feels like healing, and that's something no one can take away from her. Miss Vanessa, Melody's mother, has been her rock through it all. She's been there in the highs and the lows, quietly holding her daughter together when the world tried to tear her apart. Their bond is unshakable, a reminder that when everything else falls away, family remains. Together, they've shown what resilience really looks like: two women who refuse to let pain turn them bitter. But of course, no story about Melody can be told without mentioning Martell Holt, the man who once stood beside her, who once shared her dreams, and who now watches from a distance. Martell and Melody's story was once filled with love, laughter, and hope. They built a family, a business, and a life that seemed picture perfect. But behind the smiles, cracks began to form. When their relationship fell apart, it didn't just end, it exploded in front of the world. Every emotion, every argument, every heartbreak was laid bare for people to judge. And while Martell moved differently, sometimes loud, sometimes defensive, Melody stayed calm. She didn't need to clap back or explain her side. She knew who she was, and she knew that time would speak for her. Now Martell's life looks very different. He's often seen smiling in pictures, showing up at events, promoting his brand, but you can see the distance. There's a kind of silence in his eyes, the kind that tells you he's thinking about what used to be. Maybe it's regret, maybe it's acceptance, maybe it's both. Because for all his public appearances, there's something missing: the daily presence of his children. He's become the weekend dad, the one who shows up for the fun but misses the quiet moments, the bedtime stories, the homework help, the everyday laughs. And sometimes it's those small things that hurt the most. The kind of pain that doesn't scream, it whispers. The kind that you feel when the house gets quiet, when you realize what you've lost. Then there's Ariane Curry, the woman whose name has been linked to Melody and Martell for years. Her story, too, has been public, filled with chaos, emotions, and drama. But now even she seems to have found a strange kind of quiet. No more public rants, no back and forth online, just silence. Maybe it's peace, maybe it's exhaustion. But as calm as it may seem, peace built on someone else's pain doesn't always last. Because when you build happiness on the ruins of someone else's heartbreak, it eventually comes back around. You can't find lasting peace if it starts in chaos. And while Ariane might be enjoying her quiet now, deep down, she knows this story isn't finished. Through all of this, Melody has remained consistent. Her focus has never changed. It's always been about her children, her growth, and her peace. She's learned that real success isn't about revenge or proving anyone wrong. It's about living well. It's about waking up every morning knowing that you're doing your best, loving your kids, and staying grounded in faith. You can see it in the way she moves now, soft, confident, at ease. The woman who once had to defend herself from public attacks now lets her peace speak for her. She doesn't need to shout her truth from rooftops. It shows in her glow. Because when you heal, it shows. When you forgive, it frees you. And when you finally stop reacting, you win. Melody's peace wasn't handed to her. She built it piece by piece, day by day, through heartbreak, through tears, through moments where she probably felt like giving up. But she didn't. She stayed true to herself, to her values, and to her faith. And now that peace is her crown. Meanwhile, Martell seems to be in a phase of quiet reflection. There's less noise around him, fewer outbursts, fewer public moments. Maybe he's realizing that peace comes at a price too. The price of loneliness, of distance, of realizing what you lost when you thought you could do better. Maybe he's finally understanding that being right isn't mean being happy, and that love doesn't survive without respect. He can post all the smiles he wants, but true peace doesn't come from pretending. It comes from making things right, from showing up, from learning, from growing. And maybe that's the next chapter in his story, the moment where he learns that peace takes work too. As for Ariane, she's quieter now, more private, less reactive. Maybe she's learning too. Maybe she's realizing that being in the spotlight isn't as glamorous as it seemed, that real peace comes when you stop chasing validation and start building your own happiness. But one thing is clear, no matter how their stories unfold, Melody's glow remains untouched. Because what makes Melody's story so inspiring is not that she survived, it's that she transformed. She didn't just make it through, she came out softer, stronger, and more grounded. She learned that forgiveness isn't about the other person, it's about freeing yourself from the weight of the past. And every time she smiles, you can see that freedom. You can imagine her home now, filled with laughter, with warmth, with love. The kind of home that's calm, structured, and happy. Her children are thriving, surrounded by a mother who shows them what strength really looks like. They're growing up watching a woman who didn't crumble under pressure, who didn't let pain turn her bitter, who turned her story into a lesson. And that's the kind of legacy that lasts. Because one day her children will understand everything their mother went through, and they'll know that she fought not just for herself, but for them. Melody's peace didn't come from winning court battles or clapping back online. It came from letting go, from realizing that she didn't need to fix everything or everyone, from choosing herself. And that's something so many women can relate to. The moment you stop fighting for people who won't fight for you and start fighting for your peace instead. There's something sacred about a woman who's done explaining herself. Melody doesn't owe anyone an explanation for her peace, her silence, or her growth. Because when you've been through enough, you learn that you don't need to talk about every move. You just live it. And that's what she's doing now. Living, building, thriving. Every decision she makes now comes from a place of calm, not revenge, not pride, not pain, just peace. And that's why her fans love her. Because she's not trying to be perfect, she's just trying to be real. She's proof that no matter how messy your past is, it doesn't define you. What defines you is how you rise from it. Melody rolls with grace, with faith, and with quiet power. She's become a symbol of healing, not the loud kind, but the kind that lasts. As for Martel and Arione, their stories continue, each learning their own lessons, each facing their own kind of silence. But through it all, Melody remains steady. She doesn't react to their noise. She doesn't engage in the drama. She simply continues to grow. Because at the end of the day, peace is the loudest victory of all. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need attention. It just exists.